Happy Pride Month, everybody. This is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Cold Case, Season 5, Episode 9, Boy Crazy. This right here is a very profound, emotional, tear-jerker of an episode. You can't help but to feel sorry for the character that named Sam in this episode. I remember many years ago I watched this on television, but not when it was in production. Like a few years later, when CBS used to show reruns of this show and that of what's that show called? Without a Trace. Like it was like Saturdays and Sunday nights before they started showing like 4-hour reruns of like The Big Bang Theory. This episode came out in 2007. Cold Case is a very good cop drama. It's different. I've never seen a cop drama like this before. Well, they deal with cold cases that haven't been solved, hence the title Cold Case. And they do flashbacks from like decades ago. And the flashbacks in this episode take place in 1963. The show is actually produced by Roxanne Dawson, who's better known as playing Lieutenant B'Elanna Torres on Star Trek Voyager. This episode deals with that of, they call it gender identity crisis, I think, in this episode. Basically what it is there's a character named Sam, and Sam is a biological female who dresses and acts like a boy. Now, before you start like pulling your hair out and going to war and screaming and everything from this review, or if you decide to watch the episode, which the episodes are on Roku Channel TV and HBO Max. The entire 7 seasons are on both streaming sites. You cannot buy this on DVD because of the simple fact that because of the copyrighted music, you know, Warner Bros. And CBS, they don't want to pay for that. So it's on streaming and streaming only. If you see this on DVD, like say Amazon or eBay, it's bootleg. And so that's not what you're going to be pulling your hair out about and screaming at the screen. Now, this is the part that you might get a little frustrated at, well, at least the LGBT community and stuff. Keep in mind, the time setting of this show is 1963. Keep in mind that this episode came out in 2007, not 2017. So, with that said, Sam is described as a tomboy. However, when you watch this episode and you see Sam the way Sam acts and everything like that, most likely in today's terms, Sam would be called transgender and maybe probably non-binary. I'm still trying to figure that out. When I'm an outsider looking in, it gets kind of confusing because once I figure it out, all of a sudden it changes again. It's kind of like the word woke. There's like 50 million definitions for that now. And it's hard to figure out which version people are talking about. So, yeah. Now, Sam could also be identified as something else. Hey, I don't know. Like I said, I'm an outsider looking in. But, you know, when I'm watching this now in the eyes of 2025, most likely, in my opinion, Sam would probably be considered by most as like transgender or something like that. However, I'm surprised they never called her a drag king, because that's kind of what she is, especially back in 1963 terms and stuff. Now, one thing I enjoyed about this episode was the raw emotion the acting, the ability to tell a pretty like poignant like story, and more importantly than that, to be real and raw. Like this is what helped me understand the LGBTQ community a bit better, and it's also helped me to understand just what the heck they was doing in the 1950s and 60s when it came to like conversion therapy and stuff. And more importantly than that, what's that one thing called? I think it's EST, some where they like lobotomize people by electroshock therapy and everything. These mental facilities used to do back in the day that's outlawed now. It's like, my God, that is horrible and everything. This episode will touch you. This episode will break you. This episode will get you emotional. It is probably the best episode in the entire like series of Cold Case because of how raw and real and emotional it is and stuff. And it can't help you, like, honest to God, if you can't walk out of this episode not understanding what the LGBT community goes through, then you're just a heartless soul of a person and very ignorant. And, like I said, I appreciate the realness and the rawness of it. Like, they use terms that shouldn't be allowed. They use slurs and everything. Not too hard of slurs, but still slurs nonetheless. They have general, like, real reactions to how people would react in 1963 from somebody who is female but tries to act like a dude. And not only that, but in also the 2007 setting, the present day when the cops are like, talking to the people that are still alive and everything, investigating them, they react in a very realistic way that a person would at that time, which nowadays might come off as kind of ignorant. Like people of Gen Z, they would probably have a problem with the way people was acting. Like when they see the picture of Sam, they're like, that's a boy. And they're like, no, it's a girl. And he's all like, well, looks like a boy. And, other stuff they'll say. And, this one character's all like, I'm confused, I'm getting a headache, I don't even want to deal with this no more. And the other person's all like, yeah, that's probably how the cops were in 1963, and that's why they just dropped it and didn't investigate it more, because Sam is actually dead, and Sam died in 1963. They assumed it was a suicide, but this man, the old man, came forward in the beginning of the episode and said he doesn't believe it was that way because he was there on the bridge and he didn't see nobody jump. So this causes them to reopen the investigation. And, back to it being raw and real in 1963 and 2007, one of the problems I'm having with like modern day television is how like accepting everyone is. Like, I've said this before, it is great to have an LGBT storyline in modern day television where people are accepting of you and it's not a big deal to them. However, there are other times where I'm starting to notice that this seems to be the norm in almost every show now. And it's just kind of like, not everybody's going to be okay with this, especially in the time settings in some of these shows. Like, take Hulu's The Hardy Boys. There's this one character that was a lesbian, or two of them actually, and her entire family was totally cool with it. And it's all like, really? Because that's 1980s. They would not have been cool with that. Then there is a show set in today's present time called The Sex Lives of College Girls on HBO Max. And there are two characters that came out the closet, and everybody's just totally 100% okay with it. And it's just kind of like, there's bound to be somebody who's not okay with that, even in today's time, especially now with what's going on in the country. And then recently in the season 3 finale, This one Indian girl, she came out the closet. And in the Indian community, not indigenous, not Native American, I'm talking about like Indian, like overseas, you know what I'm saying? They not cool with the LGBT. So I'm surprised to see the mom is totally accepting and okay of that. But they didn't show the dad's reaction because the dad wasn't even in that episode. So I was just kind of like, okay, one parent can be okay with it, but I'm pretty sure the male parent is not. And there was a show once called Ackley Bridge that also deals with like Indian Muslim people. And they showed like, what an Indian family will react like to a person coming out. And both parents were not okay with that. And that's more realistic and is more teaching and everything. Because if you're trying to teach people what other cultures are like, you gotta be realistic and stuff. And so, like, I do appreciate that the fact that, they really show what kids in the 1960s were at like. I mean, if they hated black people, then they hated the LGBT. But, let's get into this episode. So basically, they're investigating who might have murdered Sam. So they start like, asking questions of those people that are still alive and who might be relatives or people at school who might would have had a vendetta against Sam. It can't be easy for Sam to be the way she is. She's like a girl, but she wants to be like a dude and everything. And no matter how many times people keep telling her, hey, you need to wear a skirt, you need to wear a dress, you need to stop acting this way, she is very defiant. And yes, I'm calling her she only because she's considered a tomboy. Which, whatever happened to tomboys and tomgirls? Like, you don't hear those phrases no more. And because I remember there was a tom girl, or a tomboy I used to know when I was growing up. Don't know what happened to this person now. But like a lot of tomboys nowadays, a lot of them are like non-binary and transgender now. But anyway, so like it's not easy for her growing up in a society that like punishes you for being different, and especially a society when everybody's ultra like religious and conservative and stuff. And so Sam had a hard time. Apparently, when the cops went to go investigate like her father and stuff, he said, they bopped around from like school to school because she kept getting suspended. It's like the third school she went to because people just couldn't understand her and people bullied her. And so they talked to a friend of hers named Dom. Now, before I get into Dom, like Sam, like she is played by actress Lindsay Godfrey, and she is best known for being on General Hospital, and she's actually bisexual. So Dom is played by Jonathan Kelts, and he's pretty much like your typical average guy. Like it says that he has to get home early from school because his dad used to beat his mom up for whatever stupid reason, because that's how disgusting men were during those times and stuff. And he loves cars and he loves to race. And so when he sees Sam for the first time, people are like staring at her, picking on her, and he takes, empathy and like tries to stand up for her a little bit. And so like him and her start to like bond on their love of cars. He went to go race a guy named Red. And so Red Buckley is like the king jock of like the school. The Buford Tannen of like the Back to the Future, you know what I'm saying? And so Sam helped him out by pouring moonshine in his engine that made his car go faster. After that, they started being friends and started being buddies. He claims that, he had nothing to do with like her murder and stuff, and that Sam was a good person, just misunderstood. Now, Red is your typical jerk, and I mean a jerk and a bully. He constantly picked on both Dom and picked on that of Sam. And so it even got so bad that like when he lost a bet. His girlfriend had to date Dom for like one night. And so he's your typical massages like guy, and like he literally almost like for the most part kind of like assaulted that of Sam when he was like picking on her because something happened and Sam tried to like stick up for somebody. And when he was like, pushing and shoving on Sam, he realized that she had boobs. So then he ripped her shirt open and showed like everybody at school. This is what caused people to know that Sam is actually a girl, because the girls in class were like writing her love letters and stuff like that. And then when his girlfriend, Janny, I believe her name is, she did not like Sam, period. So something happened where her and Sam got into an argument because she was telling Sam, you're a girl. You're supposed to wear dresses. You're supposed to wear like lipstick. You're supposed to wear your hair like this. Maybe I can teach you a thing and you stop looking like the way you look and everything. And so they got into it to where Sam pulled off her ponytail and embarrassed her in front of the entire school. So she decided she was going to spy on Sam. And there she realized that Sam is actually straight. Sam likes dudes and everything. People assume that she will like females and everything, which is a huge misconception. So when she saw Dom and that of like Sam making out, she told the entire school. Now, Dom, at first, he was into it when they was kissing until he freaked out and told her, I'm not like that. I don't like dudes, and how dare you? Next time you touch me like that, I'm gonna beat you up. And then he runs and takes off, leaving Sam very heartbroken. But then he did something that he regrets, and that's not stick up for Sam. Next day, Janny told everybody, and Red was picking on her as like a group of guys started to surround like a terrified like Sam and everything. They throw her to the ground and they mount on top of her. And then they start trying to put like lipstick on her and stuff like that. And he just sat there and didn't do nothing. Like here's like his friend who he cares about and cares about romantically, but didn't do nothing to save that person. He was too much of a coward, and he's had to live with that for the rest of his life. Sam, on the other hand, when the principal comes in to see what's happening, Sam is the one who gets expelled from school instead of the bullies who are like all on top of her and stuff. This is normally what happens to Sam when she bees another school. And I've never understood that logic of suspending the person being bullied and everything. And when he's talking to her and her dad, he's all like, you need to wear like a dress and you need to do this. And every time somebody tells Sam that, she ain't having it, you know what I'm saying? And so Dom literally said he hasn't seen Sam since she got suspended. And that's because she went to a mental facility. The dad had her checked in for like conversion therapy. He didn't really want to do it, but he didn't see no other alternative because this was 1963 and people was very new to this stuff. As Sam is like screaming and begging for her dad to take her home, and she promises that she'll dress like more girly and like act more like a girl and even wear makeup, they still haul her away, and he didn't do anything to protest that. And the doctor literally told him, we're going to change your daughter. She's going to start wearing dresses. She's going to wear makeup. She's going to like boys. And, she'll probably even get married one day to like a guy. And they feel like this is the best solution. And we're going to use like electroshock therapy because this is the only way to fix somebody and blah, 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 and all this other crap, right? Well, it turned out Sam disappeared 2 weeks later and ended up in like on the ground under the bridge, dead and wearing a dress. And so the question is, what the heck happened to her when she was in this facility? And so, the nurses explain what the doctors did and how the doctors would not listen to the nurses because they're women. And even when the nurses be all like, this is too cruel and inhumane, the doctors still did it anyway. They literally put these electrical shock things on the side of your temples to make you, like, to punish you. And this is something they did in real life. They would make them pull the chair out a certain way, sit down slowly, like a woman used to back in the day. They taught them how to apply makeup and everything. And they kept calling Sam Samantha, and she hates that. And so Sam was literally defiant and started throwing things and all, like she'll never, like, act like a female because that's not who she is, and this is who she is inside, and people need to accept that. And so the other patients started to act unruly as well. And so if the nurses didn't do it and the doctors didn't do it, Red didn't do it, Janny didn't do it, the father didn't do it, who the heck killed Sam and all this other stuff, right? Then the nurse revealed something, that a guy came to set Sam free, and he did it because she gave him the key. And that person was Dom. After being a coward and everything, he decided he was going to break into the mental facility and bust Sam free. But the problem is, when he went to go see her, she was completely lobotomized. She was out of it. She really didn't know what left from right was or anything. Her brain had been completely fried. And she was wearing a red dress on her medical bed and stuff. And all she could say was, set me free. So he took her down. Well, first, what he did was, the thing about Dom is that he was scared of what people might have thought of him if he came out and said he liked Sam. Here's a girl who dresses and acts like a guy. So in people's mind, if a dude were to date a girl like that, that would make him gay. And that's something he feared because, you can get the crap beat out of you or worse back in those days. And so this is why he acted so rude towards her and didn't stand up for her. And so with her wearing a dress, he realized she was completely gone, and the Sam he knew and loved was never going to be there again. So when she said set him free, he decided, since she was half past gone anyway, to take a pillow and smother her. Then he took her out by the lake and he placed her on the ground because that was a place, I think, that something about she liked. I forget what she said in her backstory, but it's something about the lake that she likes because that's where they were when they kissed and everything, I think. Because I do remember seeing the moon reflect off like water and stuff. And so, yeah, he technically did kill her, but not in the mean way people thought. We see him getting dragged away by the police because, of course, murder is murder. And it's kind of like, it's one of those things that is kind of like, you get why he did it, but still you ain't supposed to murder somebody. And of course, the doctors weren't going to get in trouble because that's just what the norm was back then. And like I said before, this is a very, very, very touching like story. I think I watched this back in 2011, I believe. And I just remember being so shocked and surprised because you didn't hear stuff like this back then of electroshock therapy, conversion therapy, just all kind of stuff like that. I remember when I watched a show called The Midwife, when this one dude was gay back in the 1950s and stuff, they gave him hormone pills so he wouldn't get aroused around like other men, and it messed his body up and stuff. And it's just and that was in England. And so it's just like the things they would do to people back in those days was just horrible and stuff just because somebody's different. And that's the problem with society. What they fear, they hate. And fear is normally created by some ignorant bigot, and it spreads like wildfire, just like with the whole trans community right now. They are under attack by like the government. I mean, take the Undertaker from WWE Wrestling. He's a legend and everything, right? But he's transphobic, talking about he fears that, there might be a transgender person playing alongside his daughters and like hurt them or assault them and stuff like that. And it's like if he did his research instead of being like an old hick and everything, and he will realize that there's less than like 10 transgender women playing in professional sports and everything. And he says this because deep down inside, he is an ignorant man. And deep down inside, he is transphobic and stuff. Yet, he's this big legend in the wrestling community, so people give him a pass and everything. But it is all perpetuated by fear. And when people hate something, they instill fear in the minds of many to try to like abolish it and stuff. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.